Good morning, afternoon. Hello. Come on in. We got some breaking news. Come on in. Come on. Hello, good people. How we doing? How we doing? How we doing? How we doing? Hey, how we doing today? How we doing? So listen, It looks like today is the day. Today is the day that KK was named, officially named a co-conspirator. Tisa Tales, shout out to her. Baby, she was doing it yesterday. Yesterday was her day. She was Nightline and somebody else she was on. So shout out to her, content creator, moving on up. That's what's up. So listen, in court, just not long ago, she ran out and said that there was a bombshell. Boom, shaka-laka, 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 shaka, boom, boom. Yeah. In the defense, hi Heather, hello Tia. What is Tia T? Hello Auntie, what's that? Ooh. Heather, what is that, baby? From Canada. My name is AunTeaFee. We speak to AunTeaFee first, right? Right? No disrespect. Oh, okay. I'm like, who is that? Okay. Hold on. I don't want to hear him first. I want to give it. I'm sorry.
Diddy Combs criminal trial, our live coverage, day 17. This trial, racketeering.
I want Tia first. Tia, I didn't know what you were saying. Okay. Educate me, baby. Because I'm like, and I know what it, I thought in Spanish. Oh, never mind. Child, I'm on something else. Let me get over here. Cause I was planning to come on quickly. And then 12 minutes ago, yeah, because she ran out of court.
All right, this feels almost illegal to know, but our windows were so old
I had
and just
to
desperately needed to be replaced. So I
stop everything I was doing.
Things are going down with the Diddy trial. Baby,
hey Heather,
Brian still embarrassed the prosecution 2 days ago. Well, baby, they are not letting up. Bana is back on the stand. I had to sneak out because you guys are not going to believe what happened. Remember how everybody was saying, "Oh my God, I wonder if KK's going to testify for Diddy."
Sorry.
Remember how there was all the stuff over who Diddy's co-conspirators are? Well, guess what? Right now,
today
in court,
one
the government
was
just named Diddy's co-conspirator. Get this, the feds. I'm sorry. Let me slow down. The government just named KK as Diddy's co-conspirator moments ago in court. But there's more than that, right? Let's get into it. Not only did she just name it, but the defense started arguing that she really wasn't. And the prosecution was like, baby, we already got her dead to rights. Clock that. On top of that, Cassie has come out and defended Bana and offered proof that Bana is 100% telling the truth about what happened with Diddy.
Oh, wow.
The defense was fighting to keep this text message out, but it got admitted, you guys.
Bana wasn't lying.
Well, she did an amazing job. I 100% believed her. However, Miss Westmoreland was really, let me move back. I can't even see myself. She was really trying to imply that Bana was lying and that she never got hung over the balcony. The defense thought they got a win. Because the defense thought they got a win because the settlement that Diddy had offered Bana to not say anything about him hanging her over the balcony, right? They said, the judge said, well, that's excluded. It's excluded because the settlement was to stop Bana from making a civil trial, not a criminal trial. And since this is a criminal trial, it's irrelevant evidence. I said, wow, law is a dirty game, but baby, we all got to play it. However, let's get into the KK stuff. I have my notes. I have to run back in court really quick, but I wanted to come down here and give you guys the actual tea because the government just named KK and name dropped her as Diddy's co-conspiracy, and the defense went crazy and ballistic and tried to make all these arguments. Let me say this first of all. KK, everybody around Diddy got to be the dumbest person in the world. They are loyal to that man till the end. How KK did not flip on Diddy? She did not give. She literally is going down as a co-conspirator. Did she not see what Diddy did to Little Kim? Did she not see the way them Harlem boys play, or Bronx, wherever he's from? Whenever it comes down to whether a woman's going to do time for them or not, did you not see that D-Rock already literally needs to start picking out the wallpaper for his jail cell? And you going down with this man, baby? Let's get into it. Anyway, Sabrina Johnson said, love you, keep doing your thing. Really quick before I get into the testimony, and then I'm going to run back into court, don't forget one of two things, okay? Don't forget one of two things. One, Stephanie Courtney said, you're smart and beautiful. Keep it up. Thank you. Stephanie Curry said two things, right? And I think we need to actually, keep a hold of this, okay? One, you guys, I was on ABC Live. The link is in the bio. It's probably going to be pinned in the
she did
chat.
great.
And also, I did a special thing on Nightline. Here you go, right?
She did. She was great.
Oh, well. Anyway, better than those rats and roaches from Diddy's cell. I bet Diddy wish he could get some ants.
Hi, Drew.
Anyway, right? So anyway, they talk about the Jane exhibit. A couple of things. The judge made I'm just going to take you really through quick what happened. And then, actually, we'll save that for last. Let's get into the KK stuff, right? So they wanted this text admitted. Miss Westmoreland is clearly trying to imply that Bana, right? Oh, thank you, Jamie. I'll definitely get that from you. So, Miss Westmoreland was clearly trying to imply that Bana was lying about being held over the balcony, right? Clearly trying to imply that. However, let me tell you the story about how KK's name came out. It was a bombshell because it was already spilling tea, right? However, okay, they said that they were they clearly trying to. The defense got to win. They said, listen, there's text message between Rob, that's Rob Holiday, Diddy's good friend, right? Trying to get Bana not to file a civil suit against Diddy. In that, they talk about Diddy hanging her over the balcony. The prosecution wanted to get that admitted. The defense was like, no, there's no relevance. They were talking about a civil trial, not a criminal trial, so why can they bring it up? The judge said, okay, that's a good point. We are going to exclude that evidence. However, right, they said, and clock this tea, they said that, Your Honor, we have a screenshot of a text message conversation between Cassie and KK. I said, what? This is how Cassie came in to save Bana, right? Friends to the end, even when she's not here. They said Cassie texted KK. And in a text, get this, right? They said, Cassie said to KK, he woke my friends up. Cassie's texting KK. And this is back when all that shit happened with Bana. He woke my friends up while they were sleeping because he was ringing the doorbell and acting crazy. He came into the house. He choked my friend and dangled her feet off of my balcony. I have to stay away. This is crazy. I have to stay away. This is crazy. I have to stay away. You guys, when they read that, and listen, the defense was arguing that message shouldn't be allowed to bring in. So the jury wasn't there yet. They were arguing on whether they could show this message to the jury, right? Just stay with me. Just stay with me. Again, he woke up my friends while they were sleeping, ringing the doorbell like crazy. He came into my houses while my friends were there. He choked her and dangled her feet. I have to stay away. This is crazy. I have to stay away. The defense is like, no. She said that she didn't know about these messages, which actually, when they read the transcript, what Cassie actually said is, I know what I saw. I don't know what you want to tell me, right? She was like, no, you 100%. She didn't say it. And they were like, no. The prosecution was like, no. She sent this message, and we need to use this message because the defense is clearly trying to imply that Bana's lying about this. This message was sent the day or the morning of after after she was allegedly dangled off the balcony. This proves the point. And since Westmoreland wants to act like I'm lying, wants to act like Bona's lying, there you go. Boom. Point being, right? SLW said, sending love and light from Alaska. To my girl T said, thank you, SLW. Okay? But you guys, there's more. Okay? I'm going to go back in. I know there were witnesses still in the trial, but I have to tell you guys this. Then they were like, what is the relevance? Maureen called me. So the government was like, you guys, this is, the defense said, this is hearsay within hearsay, double hearsay. It should 100% be excluded. And then Maureen called me, popped on up, and said, Your Honor, this is a communication between one of the victims and a co-conspirator. She said, Your Honor, this is a communication between one of the victims and a co-conspirator. And it goes, right? And it goes that it cannot be hearsay because it literally is offering for what happened with Bona, the effect on the listener, and the state of mind, okay? Really quick, Carrie Pierre, thank you so much for the super chat. You guys, this is exclusive tea. Nobody has dropped this yet. The government has officially named KK as a co-conspirator, right? So then Diddy's team pops up and she's like, it's Shapiro, right? She was like, no, listen. No, she says, I just found out some crazy shit. That's implying she didn't see it. I just found out what happened. She said, and also they said Cassie didn't say that in the testimony, right? The prosecution, Maureen Comey, was like, Your Honor, they have had this mess for over a year and they actually deposed Cassie over this. So they even knew about this. Cassie can't be here. Depositions are testimony. It should be able to be worked. Anyway, Your Honor, it's a communication with the co-conspirator, okay? They also said, okay, a very clear suggestion that the defense is making that it never happened, okay? Anyway, right? Listen, so then the judge said, right, that this is on the effect on the listener or the state of mind. It is a screenshot on September 30th, 2016. That's around the time that it happened. And he said, yeah, this is absolutely admissible. And they said, first, it's admissible on it being a state of mind. Second, it's admissible because it was communicated to Diddy's co-conspirator. Yo, Bana told Cassie, right? Cassie's a victim. Bana's a victim. Cassie told KK. Cassie is officially named by the government as a co-conspirator. But it wasn't over. Diddy's defense started freaking out. Your Honor, we strongly object to KK being named as a co-conspirator. Maureen Comey turned around like, because Maureen Comey sits in front. She looked like she turned around and was like, what you mean? Like literally, how are you going to tell me who the co-conspirator is, Hayes? How are you going to tell me who the co-conspirator is? The co-conspirator is whoever we MF and say. That's what we are trying to prove. She literally was like, what? Oh, hold on. DoorDash is outside. Hold on really quick. Do you mind grabbing it from out front? He said he's searching around looking for me. Sorry, I'm trying to get a portable charger because my phone's going dead. The DoorDash guy is like looking for me. Okay, so anyway, right? If anybody want to kill me, this would be the perfect time. Anyway, right?
Shout out to Tisa.
Fat Bull 717 said, hey Tisa, wants me up. I'll take care of the weirdos in your chat. Keep up the good work. I'll be your chat cipher. Yo, DM me so I can give you a wrench. Volnero Carol said, glad you got your name out. Oh, ABC Live, thank you so much. And also Honeybee Therapy, thank you so much. And Shayna's vlog said,
yeah,
thank
I
you
put
for
a poll out.
Hard work. Also,
put a poll up.
Yeah. Thank you. Okay. All right. Thank you. All right. Have a good one. Nona Preston said, you rock, Tisa. Tisa tells for president. Love ya. Thank ya. And also Kate said, your makeup highlights your eyes from Chicago. Oh my God. Thank you. Appreciate that. Rebecca Peterson, thank you so much for being a part of the Tattletale fan. Let me just tell, hold on.
You didn't speak to me. You spoke to the person on the screen.
I'm back. I had to get a charger. They found me. They saw me talking.
My name is AunTeaFee.
Okay. My DoorDash
I don't
people know me so well.
You didn't speak to me coming in.
Like, I'm starting to get the same DoorDashers.
Mary.
Officially, Carrie George, thank you so much.
You want me to speak to you, but you didn't speak to me. No, ma'am, that's not how that works.
For her being referred to as a co-conspirator, there's no proof she's a co-conspirator. Marie called me because they're sitting behind her. She literally turned and was like, what the fuck y'all talking about? Co-conspirator. We're the ones who decide.
Come on, y'all. It's 282 people in here.
Your happy self into this.
Only 26 people have voted. Come on, vote and hit the like button, please. She's not a co-conspirator. Listen. Anyway, right? She's like, Your Honor, and Marine Comey literally sat there and said, Your Honor, not only are we suggesting it, right? But we have already given enough evidence to already confirm that. But we will continue to confirm it. Eddie Garcia's testimony named her clearly as a co-conspirator. And we will continue to name her as a co-conspirator, right? And then, right? And then they said, well, she is the Julane lady.
You don't understand. For her to be named a co-conspirator, she must agree with Diddy. She must agree with the criminal things that Diddy did. Baby, you're his personal assistant. What you mean? He sent you all the way out. No. But she didn't agree. So you did it, and you were there, and you didn't do anything to stop, and you helped and aided and abetted, but you didn't agree? All right, girl. And also, there needs to be 2 predicate acts. Right now, there's only one, and that's perhaps.
That was yesterday. More evidence has came in today, Harlem. Hey, y'all come in, speak, please. Do y'all go into people's house and don't speak and just walk in and start talking? Do y'all do that? When y'all come in here, y'all speak. Do y'all do that normally? Just pop in? Yeah, I'm trying not to remove people today for being rude and disrespectful. Those were some of the guidelines coming in over here. Okay. Hi, Renee. See how she says, hello, auntie? You don't see it's at the top. It should be pinned at the top in white. Let's get back to this tea. It says, poll, will KK flip on him? Thank you. Hey, Daquan.
How did you get to say who's a co-conspirator, right? Listen, she said, Your Honor, again, we've already confirmed it and in testimony, and we will continue to confirm it. Eddie Garcia was just the beginning.
Yeah, she's beautiful.
We have more evidence. When I said,
but you still didn't speak. So you about to make me remove you, Mary. You still did not greet the host here.
I can't believe that KK is riding with Diddy.
God.
The government, listen. They literally said that because she wasn't in agreement, she didn't commit any crimes, even though you were his right-hand woman. Are you serious? Y'all, we have confirmation. KK, it is humid out here. We have confirmation that KK has officially been named. Remember what
and Cassie has claimed back and confirmed that Bana's testimony is true.
Has been officially named as Diddy's co-conspirator. Now, here's the thing. She still got time to make that plea deal. Hold on. Wait, can y'all hear me now? Hold on. Okay, it's good. Okay, sorry. Sometimes when I jump out, y'all can't see it, right? Audio's going in and out. Love the acting, though. Okay, so let me reenact this, right? If it was going in and out, right? Diddy's team was like, Your Honor, we strongly object to KK being named as a conspirator. Your Honor, we strongly object to the KK. Marine Comey was in front, and she looked around like this. What? You object to what? What do you object with? Being named a co-conspirator. Since when did you call the shots? Since when do you tell anybody who, right?
Yeah, know your place.
Since when do they tell anybody who? Since when does the defense say who a co-conspirator is? And we leave that
she gonna flip Jaquan.
We leave that Diddy's not even guilty. Said,
she better.
What y'all talking about? She's not a co-conspirator. If you don't get out of my face, right? Marine Comey stepped there and said, Your Honor, it's already been proven in Eddie Garcia's testimony that she is a co-conspirator. However, Your Honor, that's just the tip of the iceberg, and we will continue to bring more and more evidence to prove that KK is an actual co-conspirator. The defense was like, but she didn't agree. She didn't agree. Marine Comey was like,
her actions agree.
Your Honor,
dumb lady.
She's a co-conspirator. Here's the thing. KK has not been, KK, she still has time to plead the fifth. She still has time to take an immunity deal. But as of now, I don't understand, KK, did you not see what they did to Little Kim? Did you not see the way these New York boys play? Never do a jail bid for a man. I think that might be written in the Bible. What is wrong with you? You are going down. Where is this weird loyalty that KK has? Unless she actually thinks Diddy's innocent, baby. Thinking. And thinking. You guys, this is 100, listen, this is 100% exclusive tea. 100% exclusive tea. KK has officially been named as co-conspirator.
It's official.
And even though they are crossing Bana right now, I'm about to go back up. They are crossing Bana right now. The interesting thing about this is, and I'm about to go back up. The interesting thing about the cross with Bana is they've gotten a text message from Cassie admitted. Now here's the thing. They're not going to be allowed to admit it while they're cross-examining her. But as soon as the cross-examination is done, they are showing it to the jury and they are admitting it into evidence to prove that Cassie, back then, I think the same night or a day after it happened, texted KK, who the government literally referred to as Diddy's co-conspirator.
Let's go.
That Diddy held her over the balcony, and it's crazy, and this is the way she has to stay away from Diddy. So it even proves back then that Cassie was trying to escape Diddy, and everybody around Diddy was trying to pull her back in. Rebecca Peterson said, "You're the best. Thank you for letting us know the truth. You're welcome." And MONEYBAGGYO said, "Tisa, we represented last night."
Let's play that again.
The same night or a day after it happened, texted KK, who the government literally referred to as Diddy's co-conspirator, that Diddy held her over the balcony, and it's crazy, and this is the way she has to stay away from Diddy. So it even proves back then that Cassie was trying to escape Diddy, and everybody around Diddy was trying to pull her back in. Rebecca Peterson said, "You're the best. Thank you for letting us know the truth. You're welcome." And MONEYBAGGYO said, "Tisa, we represented last night. Thank you. Amazing job."
Absolutely did. She did wonderful.
Thank you guys so much. Listen, I gotta get back into the courtroom. I wanted to give you guys that tidbit. I'll be back down in about an hour because Jane's testifying. Oh, that's another thing. The judge literally told us, hold on. And now here's the thing. Who's trying to influence the jury? The judge said that he wants to remind everybody in the overflow room and the courtroom that it is illegal to try to communicate with the jury. The public cannot talk to the jury. No facial expressions, no facial reactions.
They should have been sequestered.
Expressions, nothing. Now, I know what y'all saying, Tisa. They probably talking about you because you animated. They were not, because when I look at the jury, I just look at them stone face. But I be clocking their tea and writing down what they're doing. They said it is illegal to pass any note to the jury. I said, who is trying to jury tamper? It is illegal to have any expressions. It is illegal to do that. I said, who the hell?
I'm glad the jury is telling it.
Rob and Abigail, the good lawyers for the public.
I'm glad the jury is telling it.
The defense needs to disclose all the exhibits. I'm sorry, the prosecution needs to give redacted exhibits contemporaneously, meaning at the same time. The government is like, listen, we got a lot to do. Y'all can get it 24 hours later. They were arguing that they should get it now. The judge said that we're not going to have it contemporaneously. However, he did say that the government has agreed to make a lot. The government has agreed to make a lot of concessions. So one medium win for the public. I want to get back up there before Jane testifies. I know right now they are talking about Bana, but literally, y'all, they don't know it yet. The jury doesn't know it yet, but they've already know.
We
like
do.
everything.
Shout out to Tia.
Right now on cross-examination.
Tisa, I mean.
They're trying to act like Bana is lying about it. They pulled up a text from 2016 or 15, whenever it happened.
Heather got me saying Tia.
Cassie and Bana showing that not only did it happen, but Cassie texts KK explaining what happened and complaining about how Diddy is so crazy. She has to stay away from Diddy. Baby, you know what the problem is? And this is the last thing I said. Sometimes when you fly too close to the sun, like Icarus, you go down fast. Now, you know I love fire and toast to the sun. But Brian Still and all of them went out of their way to humiliate Mia and to do a victory lap. That the prosecution has been on their job and they have been out for blood. And listen, Diddy is literally getting pummeled right now, and there is not a thing they can do about it. Diddy and his co-conspirator, KK, unless she takes a deal, and then also Diddy and his co-conspirator, they haven't named D-Rock, but come on now.
Well,
You know
KK
D-Rock.
flip
You know
on Diddy
D-Rock
now that
is
she
not going- it's
has
not gonna do
officially
anything
been
but right
named
out for
as
Diddy.
co-conspirator.
You just know that. That's Biggie's best friend. The Hood realist said Diddy supporters are predators to 100. Baby, all I know is don't date, don't procreate, and keep your kids away. I'm just saying, if you think
Oh,
that
I
type of
agree.
behavior is just something that happens in a relationship, I don't know what to say. But again, can y'all believe that KK is literally going to go down for Diddy? Again, can somebody please send them like the Little Kim documentary? KK, why would you do that? It literally makes no sense. Why would you do that? This is a PSA. Don't ever, for any woman, don't you ever take a rap or a charge for a man. Just don't. You're going to feel stupid. You're going to feel dumb. We're going to call you a dummy. Now, we will write out for you and try to get justice, but you're going to feel stupid. You're going to feel dumb. And let me tell you, any man that asks you, the woman, to serve time for his mess, you already know. He already think you're the biggest dummy out there. Please. I'm just saying. We call you the biggest dummy. We'll try to get a defense fund and get you out.
I ain't getting it. No, I ain't.
Research, but I can't believe KK is
I
really,
wish I
really
would
going
donate
out
to
for
it.
Diddy, right? Hi, how are you? Hi, come say hi. Hold on. Let's see. Hold on. We're gonna say hi to someone before we go. Listen, let them box work. It's engagement. Diddy pay and get money for him. Please, come on. Hey guys, look who we have here. Hi.
Miss Bush, how are you?
Hi, Miss Bush. How are you?
I'm fine.
Listen, you've been following the trial?
Oh, have I?
Yeah. What do you think of it so far? You know they just named KK as his co-conspirator officially. And the defense was like, she's not a co-conspirator. She didn't agree with it. And they were like, no, she's
How
definitely
could she not agree with it? She didn't report it.
Yeah. How's your day going?
I'm fine.
Okay,
I'm here with my son and my daughter.
Oh, nice,
They can hear you. They can't see you.
Hi, guys. How are you?
Miss Tisha.
Hi, how are you? Okay, guys.
Listen, hello.
Hi, how are you? Okay, so guys, listen.
Okay,
I
she's
gotta-
out. Let's go to the next one. Let's go back.
So much tea being spilled that I wanted to give y'all that.
Thank
So you
you.
can turn on
Thank you
notifications.
for the tea, baby. Thank you for the tea, baby. Let's go back to where we were.
For people like Bob.
See if we can catch Elizabeth.
Yeah, that's why we have 24/7 customers.
Much for the super chat question. If P. Diddy is found innocent, can the government prosecute him for other crimes like...
Oh, I can't stand that they keep asking the same questions over and over.
After possible... Talking about drugs that... Good afternoon, everybody. I'm Jesse Weber, and thank you for joining us here on our live show of the Sean Diddy Combs criminal trial. Our live coverage, day 17 of this trial: racketeering, sex trafficking, transportation to engage in prostitution. Those are the charges that the rap mogul is facing, and very interesting testimony happening right now in court. They had a late start today, so I say that because I know all of you look forward to hearing from Elizabeth Milner, our law and crime reporter, who's in that courtroom. We may or may not get her. I mean, the court's the schedule's a little off today, but if they do take a break and Elizabeth can come outside, we're going to get up here as soon as possible. But what we are going to do is take your questions for the next hour and a half or so about not only today's testimony, but about this case in general. There is a lot to break down. And I have to talk about what's happening right now. So what we have is Bryana Vangolan back on the stand. This is somebody who testified yesterday. This is somebody who testified about being dangled off of a 17-story balcony by Sean Combs. And in case you were curious about why this is relevant, it may go to the pattern of violence towards women that the prosecutors are saying is part of the racketeering charge. But they also say that if Cassandra Ventura, victim one in this case, was aware of this happening, right, then this goes to the coercion aspect of sex trafficking, that she was induced into participating in non-consensual freak-offs with commercial sex workers because of this environment she was around, the violence she was around, the threats she was around, that this could never be consensual because look at the violence, look at what she had to deal with. So that's a very interesting way to articulate it, and we heard a little bit more about it earlier today, but she is being cross-examined, Miss Vangolan, today by Nicole Westmoreland, and I gotta tell you, this is some tough cross-examination. So not only are they talking about drugs that, you know, she might have been taking or drugs that she might have been supplying to Cassie or Combs, but this is really important. They say that 2 weeks after she claims Combs dangled her off a balcony, there is a text message where she seemingly wanted to know if Sean Combs wanted a sweatshirt. That she texted this to Cassie, that it's a strange thing, right? She also
Bana
questioned her civil suit that she filed against Sean Combs and whether it was
Bana
with inaccuracies,
Cassie's longtime friend, her
true regarding sexual assaults, that she actually fired her former attorney Tyrone Blackburn and had to hire new counsel. There was a text message from Sean Combs that she was confronted with where he allegedly said to Bryana Vangolan, if you're going to do K with her, presumably meaning ketamine, with Cassie, if you're going to do K with her, at least have her back. Is that the statement of a sex trafficker? Well, let's talk about it. I'm here with an all-star panel. I'm joined by Prosecutor Barrett Berger, Tyler Bailey, criminal defense attorney, civil rights attorney, and also Rich Schoenstein, litigator, with me here in studio. It's great to have you all here. Rich, I'll start with you. How bad is this cross-examination? Is this, I mean, it's very consistent with what we've heard of how they've gone after Dawn Richard, how they've gone after Cassie, how they've gone after Mia. It's what they have to do. It makes me feel, once again, this is not a clean case for the prosecution.
Yeah, it is more of the same. So first of all, the part about her civil suit is bad because that calls into doubt her veracity and her truth-telling. The fact that she had things in her civil suit that may not have been true, even if some attorney that she later filed.
Oh, okay.
It's her responsibility. So that's bad. Just in terms
okay,
of
after this one, I'll show you.
Issue that really is a theme of the case. Is this abuse, or are these all willing participants? Yes, she got dangled off a building, but she seems to have gotten over it and didn't mind very much. And that's essentially, I think, what the defense is saying. These are all people who played together. They did drugs together. They had sex together. Sometimes it got a little violent, but they were all willing participants.
Right. Yeah, the defense is not running away from the fact this might be domestic violence and incidents that may
it's
be
not domestic if that's not a relationship.
But the question becomes, is this sex trafficking? Is he the leader of a criminal enterprise? Barrett, let me go to you on this. I'm going to read you a little bit of a court update. One of the reasons I love doing this live show is because we are getting real-time updates from court. There's no cameras, there's no audio equipment, but we're getting real-time reporting so we can break it down in real time. So Nicole Westmoreland, Sean Combs' defense attorney, asks Vangolan, you remember the Bad Boy reunion tour? You started on it but didn't complete it? Maybe one or two. September 25th, 2016, the tour was at the Prudential Center in Newark, New Jersey. True? I'm not aware, not so sure on dates. He was on stage with Lil' Kim? I don't know. And at the Harlem Salute to Achievement. There's an objection, there's a sidebar, continues. Is this the Trump International Hotel stay of Frank Black, which is apparently a pseudonym from Sean Combs, includes September 26, 2016 in-room breakfast for $231, you see? Vangolan responds, yes. You agree one person can't be in two places at the same time? Hard to say. You told the jurors Mr. Combs injured you in LA on September 26, 2016, correct? May we have a sidebar? This is from the prosecutor. Judge says, yes, you may. Is that a problem regarding her testimony?
I mean, it could be. I want to see how the cross actually plays out and what her answers are to some of these questions. I mean, to me, it seems like very fair cross-examination. If there's anything that the defense can do to try to poke holes in her credibility, they absolutely should. Now, if I'm the government, what can you fall back on here? Probably the biggest is, okay, does this witness, let's say it's true that he actually was in this hotel and wasn't with her. Is this a witness that perhaps has the incident correct, but maybe is off by,
Hey,
a day
Max,
or two
Max,
on her
thank
dates?
you for the
Fine. Is that something
paintbrushes.
that we can all understand? Absolutely, particularly when you're talking about events that happened, back in 2016. But it's totally fair cross-examination. It'll be interesting to see, how the prosecution responds to it. But all this goes to credibility and her ability to be a reliable narrator here.
Tyler, I'm going to give you two questions because they're basically the same. One is from Wonderful. If KK testifies, this is Christina Quorum, this is Sean Combs' purported former chief of staff. If KK testifies, do you think her testimony will bring...
So he don't know that she has been officially
horrific acts? And this is one from Lotus Flower.
Elizabeth
is KK
hadn't came out
going to
yet.
get full immunity
Oh, wow.
if she testifies, or will they just reduce her possible sentence? So the two questions here, do you think she's going to get full immunity if she testifies, or get a reduction in sentence, assuming she's a co-conspirator of some kind? And do you think
Y'all, he don't know yet.
force more victims of Diddy's horrific acts? Or
I think anything's possible. She could be granted immunity. She could cut some type of deal with the government. It's still too early to tell. Ultimately, we will probably find out either after this trial or if it comes out during cross-examination. And then whether she'll be the one to bring up additional victims, I see that unlikely. I think the government's better bet would be actually calling these victims as witnesses in this case, like they have done throughout this entire case, bringing those victims to the stand and having them tell their stories. So I think KK could corroborate some victim testimony and maybe location and aspects of how Diddy ran his enterprise, but I don't see this being a situation where she's, giving hearsay testimony about what Diddy did to other victims who have not come into play in this case yet.
And by the way, we have a sidebar coming out later tonight where we actually talk about what immunity is, all the times that it's been mentioned in this trial. I mean, who's been granted immunity, what that says about the case, why those witnesses wanted or needed immunity. So I hope everybody can go check that. It'll be up on Long Crime's YouTube page later tonight. Okay, litigator here. Let's talk about it. Okay, Rich. So obviously, I mentioned there's an issue about whether Tyrone Blackburn, who had represented apparently Ms. Vangolan in her lawsuit, had represented Rodney Jones. Question is, were there problems in that lawsuit? Were there allegations that weren't true? Well, Danny asks, can lawyers face any legal consequences when they include information in a lawsuit that didn't happen?
Sure. Lawyers are bound by rules of the court and rules of ethics. In federal court, there's something called Federal Rule 11. You have to have a good faith basis for the allegations you make in a pleading. But I will tell you, it is rare that lawyers get punished. Usually what happens is the complaint gets dismissed or it gets corrected. There's usually repercussions in the course of the lawsuit. It is a rare circumstance where a lawyer gets punished, but in theory, yes, there are rules of court and there are ethical rules about what an attorney can and should put in a court document.
And that has come up a lot during the course of this case, that you can't file frivolous litigation. You can't file claims that are not backed up by the facts and the evidence in the law. By the way, phenomenal outfit, Rich. My gosh, I couldn't pay attention to half your answer. I'm like, what a great combination.
Well, it's a beautiful.
Did everybody see the tie matches the pocket square?
I called this
162
outfit,
people
my
have
favorite
voted.
tactics,
325
summary judgment.
are here. Please vote and hit the like button.
Okay.
Thanks in
Barrett,
advance.
question for you. I do Voodoo 1 asks. Okay, I do voodoo. Being as a huge of this case that is, if acquitted, will jurors be investigated for possible shenanigans?
Only if there is evidence to suggest so. Jurors, obviously, and this is an important part of our justice system, but jurors and what they do back in the jury room, it's supposed to remain private. It's supposed to be an area where they can speak their mind, they can engage in sort of the back and forth battles that everyone is supposed to engage in when they're serving on a jury. So there has to be some, real indicia of some kind of fraud, some kind of corruption, something going wrong for there to be an investigation. Otherwise, the jury's verdict stands and it's let to, what happens in the jury room stays in the jury room.
So it appears that the cross-examination of Ms. Vangolan has ended. This is how it ended. Westmoreland asks, Mr. Combs did not cause you the injuries in the photo you provided with metadata saying September 26, 2016. I can't agree with that, is the response from Ms. Vangolan. Westmoreland says, a person can't be in LA and New York at the same time. Vangolan responds, my answer is the same. No further questions. Redirect, the judge asks, and then there's a sidebar. Let me ask you a question here, Tyler. If the jury doesn't believe her, I've wondered this throughout the course of the case. If they don't believe the testimony of a Cassie, or they don't believe the testimony of Bryana Vangolan, does that strike at the credibility of all of the accusers?
I don't think it strikes at the credibility of all the accusers. Some of them have different relationships with Mr. Combs than others, but I do think the defense is doing a good job trying to draw discrepancies versus the testimony that's been
given. Yeah, it's a fake name. He's not even Frank Black or Frank White.
Like being across the country, two different places at the same time. I think the defense is going, or the government's going to need to do some redirect here if they can to try to rehabilitate the witness. But you can't have witnesses who are getting tore up on cross-examination and expect that your case is still going to be considered solid when it goes back to the jury room. I think they need to try to revive these witnesses as much as they can. If not, you do run the risk of possibly things going the defense's way.
Got a question here. Well, it's not even a question. It's more of a comment. They want my opinion. This is from at Tia215. Jesse, this whole situation is wild, don't you think? Look, yes, it is wild, but that's not the real legal question. I was asked this the other day. I think there's a couple parts to this, and Rich, I'll throw this to you. At the very least, the defense is not running away from him having freak-offs or wild king nights. That in and of itself is shocking, right? What was Sean Combs up to? A different side of him. When the 2016 video was released of him appearing to beat up Cassie Ventura, changed the whole narrative. Cassie came forward with her lawsuit in 2023, made wild allegations, but like with any lawsuit, you wonder, is this true? How's she going to back it up? Who knows? And then the tape came out, changed our whole understanding of it. It almost corroborated not just that one section of her complaint, it arguably corroborated maybe everything.
Oh, hold on, y'all.
The jury is seeing a lot of evidence
Hold on. Hold on. Hold on. Hold on. Hold on, tea sippers.
Against Diddy for that. They were trying to stop Bana from making a civil lawsuit against Diddy for holding her over the balcony. That's what they were trying to pair off. So she wouldn't file a civil lawsuit. Since it was not a criminal lawsuit and we're in criminal court, we can't talk about it. You guys, the law said Diddy, a dirty game. A Diddy team tried to... She pulled out her thing. She pulled out Trump receipts. She pulled out, did you know this was the bad boy reunion? She stood up in front of that jury and said, is it not true that you lied about Sean Diddy Combs throwing you into a table? She pulled out Trump receipts. She pulled out room service receipts. She pulled out all this stuff. But do you know the one thing she couldn't do? She did all this when she knew that there was about to be evidence admitted proving that what Bana said happened. You guys, Diddy's team, in my opinion, just ruined their whole credibility. And it's odd, even with Westmoreland, what she did to Bana, considering that she is a survivor of SA and everybody on the Birdman team. I'm still Westmoreland or anybody in that defense again. And this ain't about, oh my God, that was so messed up. It was a sob story. No. Diddy's team is agents of chaos. If you knew the evidence that had gotten admitted before the cross-examination, you would know that Westmoreland crafted a narrative She was pulling out. She was She pulled out her thing. She pulled out Trump receipts. She pulled out, did you know this was a bad boy reunion? She stood up in front of that jury and said, is it not true that you lied about Sean Diddy Combs throwing you into a table? She pulled out Trump receipts. She pulled out room service receipts. She pulled out all this stuff. But do you know the one thing she couldn't do? She did all this when she knew that there was about to be evidence admitted proving that what Bana said happened. You guys, Diddy's team, in my opinion, just ruined their whole credibility. And it's odd, even with Westmoreland, what she did to Bana, considering that she is a survivor of SA, and everybody on the Birdman team tried to literally tarnish her name. They did the same thing to her that she did to Bana. Y'all, let's get into this, all right? Before y'all say she was exposed as a liar, she was not. Because what Westmoreland did, and she was very effective. If this evidence had not gotten admitted, and they're going to show it after the lunch break, if it hadn't gotten admitted, I would think that Bana was a liar too. Hey, what's up, birthday boy? I would think that Bana was a liar too, just like I thought that Mia was a liar. But Miss Westmoreland did all this stuff, sowed doubt, sowed discord, called her a liar. And she knows that there's a text about to be admitted, dated September 30th, 2016, where Cassie is yelling at KK, who was named to be co-conspirator, for choking Bana and holding her over the balcony. And this text was dated in 2016, and KK is literally trying to explain it away. Okay, no, don't worry, I'll handle it, all this other stuff. When they know that if you weren't there in the courtroom, you would know in the sidebar, they have been fighting for days to keep it a secret.
Hit the like button, y'all.
They tried to settle with Bana for millions via their friend Rob Holiday. That's why Bana stopped being friends with Rob Holiday. This is 3 days after it happened. Diddy tried to settle with with Bana for millions for what happened on that balcony. So let me get this straight. You tried to allegedly settle with her for millions. 3 days after it happened, she has the call log. The defense was fighting to keep it out. And you know how they got it excluded so that the prosecution couldn't bring it up? They said because Bana, there was no criminal trials against Diddy for that. They were trying to stop Bana from making a civil lawsuit against Diddy for holding her over the balcony. That's what they were trying to pair off. So she wouldn't file a civil lawsuit. Since it was not a criminal lawsuit and we're in criminal court, we can't talk about it. You guys, the law is a dirty game. The law is a dirty game, right? And the fact that people are literally sitting here buying in, Diddy's team should be ashamed of themselves. I get it. They'll do anything to win, but at what cost? It is morally bankrupt. And the fact that they did it when they knew this evidence is about to get admitted, you literally went out of your way to paint her as a liar, conniver, con artist. You had $10 million. Don't you want to see that? When you know there is evidence that it happened, you painted her as a liar. Is it not true that you lied to the jury about Diddy ever holding you over the balcony? When there is settlements,
right?
For her millions. There was settlements. There was settlements, talks that Diddy was begging her to. There was there was doctor stuff, right? And on top of that, there's a text message that Cassie sent KK from 2016 on September 30th, yelling at her for what Diddy did to her friend. And they got the nerve. Y'all, Diddy's team is morally bankrupt. And that's what I mean about being in court. Sometimes you actually just have to be in court and hear what's read. Because a lot of the stuff y'all hear, the judge is deciding what can be admitted and what cannot be admitted. So a lot of stuff that can be admitted and that the jury can hear, we hear on sidebar, and a lot of stuff that can't, we hear that too. Doesn't mean it's not true. It just means that they can't talk about it because you need relevance to talk about. Again, y'all, Diddy 100% hung Mia out. There is a text message, right? There is a text message from Cassie saying as much. And the fact that they are out here on Al Gore's internet acting a fool, it is disgusting. Also, yes, I was on ABC Live and I was also on Nightline. The link to watch is in the description box. Make sure y'all do that thing. Thank y'all. Literally, my notes are trying to swim away. Thank y'all so much. Listen, also, how did she discredit, right? Isn't it true that on September 25th, 2016, Diddy performed at the Bad Boy reunion tour? She said, okay. Isn't it true on September 26th, 2016, that Cassie and Diddy were in New York? She said, not that I know. I don't know. Now, let me just say, right? But let me just say this, right? They showed zero proof that Diddy was in New York City. And let me just break this down, because they're about to, when we come back from lunch, they are about to literally hit them with the wah, 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 wah. Because the proof is that Cassie was yelling at KK in 2016, and it 100% happened. But get this, right? I literally said it's striking how much they can make Bana look like a liar when they know there's text messages to prove it. Miss Westmoreland is an essay survivor. Cash Money tried to do this exact thing to her, and she's talking about, isn't it true that you wanted Diddy's money? Isn't it true that Diddy paid you multiple millions for you to come into this good Northeast courtroom to make Bana look like a liar, to do to you what Cash Money did to do to Bana what Cash Money did to you? Again, it was actually scary, and I realized, I've always known law was a game, but it's actually scary the way a good attorney can make even a truthful person
look like a liar. That's
now,
fact.
if I was a prosecution, I would have been like, yeah, objection, objection, objection. But the judges ruled there's certain evidence that exists that they can actually bring in and out. Anyway, right? Listen, she said the text proves it, okay? She said Bana was like, the reason I kept hanging around Diddy is, one, I was on drugs, and two, I really wanted to be a part of his world. That is an honest answer. Bana is an honest person. She fired her first lawyer because she thought there were discrepancies. She literally called Cassie and said, oh, you got it wrong. Tiffany read and this person wasn't in the room. This and that. Bana has been exceedingly honest. And the fact that they tried to use that against her, listen, this makes Diddy's team in my face lose all credibility. They are super shady, and it is criminal what they're doing. But that's their job as criminal defense attorneys.
Right.
It's to flat doubt. But to sit there when you know that there is evidence about them admitting and call this girl a liar, here's what she said, right? Listen.
That means that they already got something they're going to try to rebut.
2016, September 30th, it said that, right? Frank Black, right? She said, can I show you something? Bana said, go ahead. And Bana the whole time was like, I know what happened to me. I will never forget what happened to me. He hung me over the wall. Who cares if it happened September 24th or if it happened September 30th? Who cares? The point is, it happened. Are we really getting down to it couldn't happen because it wasn't that date? Diddy's team is too good, but they are disgusting. And what's Westmoreland?
They're doing their job.
Westmoreland, she's a great attorney, right? But again, some defense attorneys are just morally bankrupt. It is what it is. They're good at what they do. Shots to them. If I'm ever on the stand for murder, I won't want them to represent me. But right now, I think what they're doing is disgusting. First of all, they said Frank Black. Are you not aware? And they put up a Trump hotel receipt. I see what you're doing, Diddy. Trump ain't coming to sit you. You better not be. They said, is it not true that Diddy arrived on 9/24 and checked out on 9/29? I said, okay, because they were in LA prior to that. So you could have been throwing her over the balcony on the 22nd or the 23rd. Are we really quibbling about dates? And when I say dates, I mean a matter of days over 20 years ago. I said, are they really trying to act like it didn't happen when they know the text message from 2016 confirms it happened? And Cassie said, that's why I gotta stay away from him. This is why I need to stay away from him, because he is crazy and this can never happen. Get this. They said, I'd like to draw your attention to the room service charges. First of all, and you know how I know I've been putting hotels and my name for people all the time, and my family. And you're going to have to show me some proof that you were actually there for the entirety of the stay, right? Nanya B said, oh no, what did Nanya B said? Let me read this super chat real quick and then and get into this. Danielle Miller said, Diddy is controlling and intimidating the witnesses. His legal team is helping him. They are mounting a great legal defense, but it was surreal to see you make Bana out to be a liar and call her a liar in the court and have the jury being like, that's right, when you know there's evidence proving it's about to be admitted. Also, Mistrial said the judge just said the defense that, the judge just said to the defense that he will bar Diddy from court if he keeps looking at the jurors. Oh yeah, breaking news. The judge said that he is going to bar Diddy from court if he keeps looking at the jurors. Diddy is in this court right now trying to do jury tampering. Also, as the Galloway said, I'm still a supporter for over 5 years. Oh, thank you, Addy. I'm so proud of you, so pro coverage. Thank you, I appreciate that. Listen, we're going to talk about what the judge said too. Everything's here. So congratulations, Tisha, on your part on ABC Live yesterday. You were great, keeping yourself beautiful. So proud. Oh my God, thank you so much. Everything.
Yeah, that's T. The
congratulations on ABCB.
The judge is gonna bar him if he's making contact with the jury.
Yeah, breaking news. The judge said that he is going to bar Diddy from court if he keeps looking at the jurors. Diddy is in this court right now trying to do jury tampering. Also, as the Galloway said, I'm still a supporter for over 5 years. Oh, thank you, Addy. Black Swanson, I'm so proud of you, so pro coverage.
Can y'all believe that?
Listen, we're going to talk about what the judge
Diddy is trying to bribe the jury.
On your part on ABC Live yesterday, you were great.
There is just no ending with him.
Everything.
None.
E.L. Somerset, congratulations.
Bar him.
Bless more. Oh, thank you, E.L. Summer.
Bar him.
And also, Slow Gorilla said, saw you on ABC, you did an awesome job. Thank you. And Nunya B said, will Brendan Paul take the stand, you think?
Oh, wow.
We don't know yet. We don't know. We do know KK is riding up.
I am too done.
See, Lorraine, thank you so much for the super chats.
I agree. Desperado Diddy.
Let's get into this. Because I do have to
So
get back
it was
into the
him
courtroom.
trying to send messages.
But let me just say
Witness
this.
Cassie.
She literally said, in 9:25 there was breakfast. At 9:26 there was a runner's fee. 9:26 there was breakfast. There's also lunch. There was dinner. First of all, Diddy was not in that hotel room all that time, and they were not having a free call.
Oh no! And he could have been planning to be there for a whole month and fly out to other places and get another hotel room. So
but let me tell you something. When something stops on, Tony Rose said, "TC, you're doing a great job. Thank you so much, Tony. I appreciate it." But let me tell you this, right? Let me tell you this. Even how I know, if I pay for a hotel room from the 5th to the 10th, and I check out on the 6th and it's not refundable, baby, I am not giving that key back until the 10th. As a matter of fact, you want to call the room and see I'm not there anymore. And all the charges stopped after the 27th.
He could have got on his jet and went to Miami.
Bana over the balcony and then went. We are talking about a number of days. The important part is that these liars, in my opinion, that are on Diddy, well, not even liars, chaotic evil, agents of destruction, right? Mystery Chi 22 said, love you, T. It's a great interview yesterday. Thank you. The thing that just actually gets me is the fact that you guys, no matter what anybody says, there's evidence about to be admitted that proves that Bana was there. Cassie, Diddy, everybody knew that he held Bana over the balcony. And the fact that this girl is a victim and is telling the truth, and she is being re-traumatized by the defense team, and they know they're lying. It's not, they know that there's proof. But their job is to literally F shit up. That's their job. Layla Bullard L, thank you so much for the super chat.
Wow.
I very much agree. I very much
Diddy caught trying to witness
you guys, listen. What do we know? Diddy tried to settle with Bana over text 3 days after the incident happened. For the incident that he said it never happened. Cassie was yelling at KK over text for the incident they're trying to say that wasn't happening. And they are showing us a stupid Trump hotel receipt. Man, who cares? Patty Fucci said, is it true that Beckham Jr. is in court today? No, he's not. Odell Beckham Jr. is not in court today. Also, C. Lorraine, thank you so much for that super chat. And Lenaxo13, thank you so much for the super chat. Listen, Diddy's team is disgusting, and I'm disgusted by what I actually saw and what I actually heard. Diddy's team is 100% disgusting. Westmoreland, Brian, all of them should be ashamed of themselves. Y'all literally painting a woman that's telling the God honest truth, that is truthful to the fault, and the prosecution is about to admit evidence of while it's truthful to the part. And let's also not forget the fact that the judge said, allegedly, I'm gonna have to look into that if Diddy keeps looking at the jury, he's gonna kick him out. Don't quote me on that. Don't quote me on that. I gotta do a little bit more research, but that's what some of y'all are saying. In any case, you guys, I just, listen, what's it, something, is something right here? Is something right here? Thank you. Thundercat said something's in your hair, boo. Thank y'all. Thank you. You said left side of your face. Okay, thank y'all. Thanks for looking out. As long as it's not moving and breathing, we're good. Also, Bruce Olnstein said, keep up the seller job. Stay safe out there. Stay safe out there. I will 100% do that. But you guys, this is insane. And to me, Diddy has lost all credibility.
Yeah, he's desperate.
What's this for?
For you.
Mama, come here. Say hi. I just got a real life super chat.
I want to do the super chat. No.
Come here.
No,
Say hi. But I can't take this. Say hi.
Hello, everyone. I just want to give y'all a heads up that she's going to relocate to New York. She's going to get one of those positions at ABC News. I'm speaking in existence. Yes.
This is Shabana. Shabana, would you like to say a few words?
I'm Big Apple Jen on YouTube. I'm Big Apple Jen. This is my second interview with Tisa.
No.
I will not take it back.
Thank you, Miss Jen. Thank you, Big Apple Jen.
Blessings to you, my love.
See ya. Thank you. I just got a real life super chat, y'all. Gotta make the money. Okay, let me stop playing. Anyway, all right. Okay, she's covering the Watson trial. Anyway, Gina Smith said, great work, your answer. Thank you, Miss Jen. All right, thank you. Also, Yolanda Blocker said a man with his own plane can be anywhere in the woods. You said good job.
You ain't lying.
Diddy's neck. Thank you.
A man
so
with his own
much.
plane can be
Listen, at the end of the day,
in more than
Diddy's
one place.
discussing what Diddy's doing. I saw it in real time, the way you're trying to make an honest woman look like a liar. You know evidence is about to be admitted, and you know that even the settlement you kept it out of there. But y'all, the law is a dirty game. This is the only way Diddy can win, because he can't win on honesty and he can't win on the facts. Anyway, listen, I gotta get back into the courtroom. I will talk to y'all later. Bye.
Okay, let's see what's next. Do I need to go back to where I was?
City. Cassie, because you were worried about her, but that those injuries didn't come from Diddy. And she said something like, part of that is true, part of it is not. I guess the part that was...
Oh, I don't... Hold on, y'all.
But also the garage, beat him up. A number of people had a couple parts to this, and I'm not so sure on dates. That's not the real legal question. I was asked this the other day. I think there's a couple parts to this, and Rich, I'll throw this to you. At the very least, the defense is not running away from him having freak-offs or wild king nights. That in and of itself is shocking, right? What was Sean Combs up to? A different side of him. When the 2016 video was released of him appearing to beat up Cassie Ventura, changed the whole narrative. Cassie came forward with her.
Oh, no, he can't go to Europe.
Allegations, but like with any
all of they passports have been seized.
Who knows? And then the tape came out, changed our whole understanding of it. It almost corroborated not just that one section of her complaint. It arguably corroborated maybe everything that she said. I think the jury is seeing a lot of evidence of violence of Sean Combs depicted not only in videos, but photographs and testimony, and the jury might accept that he's violent. I think their whole narrative regarding Sean Combs has changed. It is very wild, but what the defense is very keen on saying, this may be a different kind of sex life. He may be violent, domestic violence rampant in this country, but it doesn't necessarily make him a sex trafficker or the leader of a criminal enterprise. Do you think that's going to be tough for the defense?
Well, I think it's tough, but I think it's the right argument, and I think it's their only available argument. Look, the evidence is overwhelming that he commits acts of violence against women. Overwhelming. The drug use stuff is overwhelming. There's some other illegal activity. They can't quibble with that, or the jury will eat them alive. Because if the jury thinks they're being fundamentally dishonest with the jury won't believe anything they have to say. So they had to concede that part. He does do things you're not going to like. And they have to accept that and move on. And because these charges are RICO charges and trafficking charges and prostitution charges, remember, we keep talking about this, they're not domestic violence charges. the defense can admit the domestic violence and still fight the charges.
Facts.
It's a smart strategy. It's the right strategy. I don't know if it'll work.
It's gonna work.
So, by the way, we have great questions coming in. I love our viewers. They have such good questions. I'm going to name a few in a minute, but just give everybody an update. So now the prosecution is redirecting. So they're now questioning once again Ms. Vangolan. The prosecutor asks, did you ever review the notes taken at your interviews? She responds, no. Did you give Cassie permission to put your name in her complaint? No. After she filed, I hit her up to tell her of mistakes. Tiffany wasn't there. Okay. This is a question I'm going to throw to you, Barrett. This is from Lisa5472. Can you ask the guest this question, please? How much do you think Diddy is running his trial? Do you think he can help or hurt his case if he pushes his opinion over theirs? I assume he means his attorneys.
That's a really good question.
It really is.
I do think a lot of people, when you're watching trials, especially when you're watching attorneys, they'll question attorney strategy. They'll say, why were they doing that? What could they possibly have been thinking in, doing this XYZ fill in the blank? A lot of times these are really client-driven decisions. And I think for a lot of particularly powerful defendants, they really are running the show. I think it is a foolish defendant that wants to run the show too much because obviously lawyers have done this more. They are a little bit more removed
and they know the law
situation and they can make better decisions. But a lot of what lawyers do is not necessarily because they think it's the best approach, but because they have to do things to please their clients. It's a reality of trials. I'm interested to hear what your defense attorney on the panel actually says about his experience with that. But at least from the prosecution side, we would see decisions and really wonder what was going on there. And ultimately, it came down to, this was
they lost their own case.
Tyler, you want to jump in on that?
Yeah, I don't think that Diddy's running this trial. I think he tried to run his civil case. That's why he settled it so fast and for so much. And I think that he thought he could control the narrative, and then the backlash just got worse. And the lawyers that he has on his defense now are all very reputable lawyers who have reputations that perceive themselves across this country. I don't think they would have gotten involved in this case just to be told exactly what to do. And I think that's evident in the way they've tried to defend this case. They have pushed the envelope some on striking the credibility of a lot of witnesses, but they haven't gone too far. I haven't seen something that was just overbearing where they should have just drew it back some. So that leads me to believe that Mr. Combs learned a lesson in thinking that money and the control that you had previously is not going to work here. You have to play the game in the form that you're in, which is a federal RICO trial where your life is on the line.
And look, it's his decision if he wants to take the stand, despite the recommendation of his attorneys. And look, you wonder what his judgment is. It was, I guess, his decision. I can't imagine a lawyer telling me it was his decision, but his decision, it seems, to post a video on Instagram 2 days after CNN published the video of him appearing to beat up Cassie Ventura. And that seemed to me to forfeit any argument. The video was doctored, the video was altered, it's not me. He apologized, said it was him. And, I can't quite understand how he thought that was going to buy him some goodwill or, escape legal jeopardy. But speaking of which, we get this question in from Shy. How did CNN get the video, and can the defense sue? Now, as far as I know, I thought it was leaked, but we don't really know the circumstances of it. Maybe you know, but I think it's interesting because the other day we heard testimony from Eddie Garcia, who was this hotel security employee, basically testified Sean Combs paid $100,000 to get that footage. So how did CNN get it, and can the defense sue?
I don't know how CNN got it. And whether anyone could be sued sort of depends on who they got it from. But I will say this, I don't think Sean Combs would have a basis to sue them. That is something he did in public in a hotel hallway that was captured on a hotel video camera. He had no right, he had no expectation of privacy in an act of violence he committed in a hotel hallway. It's not like someone stole video from his home, which he owned. This is video that...
At Sweet Bee Organics, we believe in the power of nature's ingredients to nurture your body and soul. Unlike conventional products filled with synthetic additives.
I'm not sure Sean Combs would have any claim on that whatsoever.
Got an update from court. Prosecutor asked Ms. Vangolan, when you filed your lawsuit, was its report of the balcony the same or different from Cassie's? different. Is what you said today your best recollection? Yes. The demand letters of your first lawyer, did you write them? No. Prosecutor asked, the demand letter that said Mr. Combs squeezed your breast so hard you had hard bruises. Had you said that? No, ma'am. Do you demonstrate with hand motions? Please do. She does. He started at my armpit. Were they on your breast? Yes. So I guess trying to clean up a little bit of whether there's inconsistencies in her statements and whether there were inconsistencies in her legal filings. Okay, Barrett, let me go to you. Olivera Nikolic asks, if all of his assistants knew what he was doing and kept being quiet, shouldn't they be prosecuted as well?
Yeah, that's a good question. And it's one that is in my mind a lot as I'm watching this trial. I mean, you hear and you see how many people knew about this violence and did nothing. It's really shocking how many people were witnesses to some of these really horrific attacks. So it is a good question. Why haven't prosecutors charged other people as being part of this enterprise? It's one I don't have a great answer for. My guess is they've made the strategic decision that they really want this trial to focus on Combs. If you had asked me a year ago why I thought that decision was, I might have said, well, I think they're probably going to have cooperating witnesses and maybe they've signed them up to cooperation agreements and that's why nobody else has been charged. We haven't seen that yet in the trial, so it seems like that wasn't the strategy.
Well, let me ask you this, Barrett. So a number of people have taken immunity deals, including assistants and even Vangolan, and I understand why. You know, you had the assistants who testified about cleaning up the hotel rooms. One was tasked with allegedly trying to cover up Cassie's bruises. Witnesses to abuse didn't report anything. Getting drugs. Vangolan talked about procuring drugs. And it seems to me that you need the assistants. You need the bodyguards, even though they haven't testified. You need the inner circle to testify, to fill in the pieces of racketeering, to fill in the pieces of conspiracy, to fill in the pieces of a criminal enterprise. I think if they had charged Sean Combs with 10 other people and them all pleading not guilty, I think that would have been a much tougher prosecution. Whereas here, since he's the only one charged, since he's the only defendant, I was never surprised that you were going to see multiple immunity deals being granted because you need a criminal conspiracy with somebody else. It seems to me, if their goal is to get him, then you need these people because I don't know how else you would prove that criminal agreement or criminal enterprise. I mean, you had the CFO testify that there was no criminal activity that benefited the Combs organizations or that he witnessed any criminal activity. So it's not like a classic, corrupt business that, it has the proceeds of money laundering or anything like that. It feels like you need the testimony of these people to prove the case.
Yeah, I agree. And there's, in federal prosecution, there's a couple ways you can do it. First of all, I absolutely agree. You need insiders with knowledge who've witnessed these things to prove that this was actually an enterprise. 100%. So there's two different ways that you can do this. Number one, as I was discussing, you can charge people, throw the book at them, and hope that some people choose to cooperate to get out from under the charges. So that's option A. We do that in a lot of traditional, organized crime cases, other RICO cases. The other option is what you've seen play out here. Perhaps prosecutors decided that there wasn't enough to criminally charge some of these assistants, or they didn't think that they deserved federal charges against them. And so then you can proceed by immunity, which basically ensures that they will testify. You subpoena them, they have to testify. Their only potential defense is a Fifth Amendment saying, I plead the Fifth, I can't testify, I would incriminate myself. And then an immunity deal cuts that down. So it's really a way to force the hand of people who might otherwise not want to testify. But yeah, those are really the only two options, but you absolutely need these witnesses to testify to get a sense of what this enterprise was.
We have an update from court. The prosecutor asked Ms. Vangolan, do you yourself know the exact date of the balcony incident? No. Why not? It was a while ago. Any doubt Mr. Combs held you off the balcony? No doubt. Nothing further. Recross? And then Miss Westmoreland says yes, so we'll see what that recross is. Tyler, do you think the prosecution did an effective job right now, based on my reading what the updates from court, rehabilitating her testimony, saying you might not know the exact date, but you said this happened to you? You can't account for what your attorney wrote. You yourself said there were problems in Cassie's account of this. Do you think they rehabilitated her?
I think they did a decent job rehabilitating her, and it really just comes down to already the credibility that she's established with the jury. Unfortunately, we're not in that room, so we can't really see facial expressions and that nonverbal communication that's going on right now. So I think they did a decent job, and I'm surprised that the defense wants to recross her, because I think that they really struck some good points on cross-examination. You know, there's inconsistencies, dates are off. It seems like the government is saying that her civil lawyers are the ones who drafted the lawsuit, who drafted the demand letter, and either they exaggerated or they did not confirm the exact time, date, and place with their client at the time. And I think that point is enough. I'm pretty sure the prosecution is going to try to pick that apart more, and then hopefully they should call it a day, because the jury's seen enough, I believe, of this witness.
Tyler, let me give you a super chat question from Danny Montenegro. Danny, thank you so much for the super chat question. If P. Diddy is found innocent, can the government prosecute him for other crimes like domestic violence? And by the way, Danny is from Brazil, so we have viewers watching from all over the world. So if Diddy's found innocent, can the government prosecute him for other crimes like domestic violence?
Yeah, I don't think he can ever be found, just as a point, innocent. Maybe be found not guilty of these charges that he's been
He's definitely guilty.
And I think there are some statute of limitations issues with some of the state level crimes that he's clearly committed on video. And you've heard throughout testimony of this entire case. So in theory, yes, if there could be some state level charges, maybe in Florida or other states, for crimes that he committed that aren't federal in nature, they could bring those charges. He cannot be charged again for these same crimes due to double jeopardy. But if he's found not guilty, we'll see. I highly doubt that anybody would try to charge him again unless there's other evidence of crimes that we don't even know about today.
Let me just follow that up real quick.
Oh, yeah, the real freak out.
Tyler, so putting aside any statute of limitations issues where they can't bring charges at the state level, I think that's one of the reasons why he couldn't be prosecuted for the 2016 hotel incident. If you're federal prosecutors here, you know, I would imagine, and you know what? I'm sorry, Tyler. Let me just throw this to Barrett one more time as the former prosecutor here. If you're the federal prosecutors and you're moving against a case against Sean Diddy Combs, you don't have federal charges that you're waiting for, right? They have moved forward with every charge that they can conceivably move against him at the federal level. I mean, there's been a lot of talk about why wasn't he hit with similar charges, you know, to R. Kelly or Ghislaine Maxwell with respect to minors. Now, there's nothing in this criminal case regarding minors, but there were allegations regarding minors in civil suits. But the question is, I have to imagine the prosecutors looked at everything at a federal level and said, we're going to go right now. We're not, you know, maybe down the road we could charge them with another kind of federal crime down the road. Right, Barrett?
Definitely not. This is their chance. They're going to bring the most serious charges they can. If there's something that they would, you know, an ideal charge that they don't have the evidence for now, means they're not going to be able to bring it unless some sort of new evidence is discovered. But even then, I feel like it's very unlikely that they would ever bring additional charges. Now, state charges, it's a possibility. My guess is a lot of these things would be time barred, but that is something that could happen if he's acquitted on the federal charges.
Okay, so a couple of things here. First of all, they've gone to break. Okay, so we're going to wait to we're going to try to get Elizabeth Milner on as soon as possible, give us a breakdown about what she saw in the courtroom, give you a back and forth, and Rich, I'll go to you on this. This is how the cross-examination, the recross ended. Westmoreland asked Vangolan, you saw this as a chance to make $10 million, true? And Vangolan says, the judge would review. Westmoreland says, it means a lot to you to become a millionaire and soon, right? No, I'm here for justice. Westmoreland says, meaning money. Nothing further. The judge says, thank you, Ms. Vangolan. Is there an exhibit? Publish it. We object under Rule 106, and then there's a break. There'll be food in there. Okay. How do you think they did? What do you think they got? What do you think the jury's thinking after the cross-examination?
So the jury sits very close to the witness, right? The jury is, 6 to 12 feet away from the witness. The jury looks at the witness testify. Juries don't care so much, I think, if the precise memory is a little bit off. They understand someone might forget a date. They understand someone might forget a detail. But they look that witness in the eye. Do they or do they not believe she was dangled off a building by Sean Combs? And I can't answer that question because I didn't see the witness. The cross-examination points sound like good cross-examination points. the idea that she has a motive to lie, the idea that she exaggerated some civil claims, that all sounds like good. But fundamentally, when that jury looked at her, did they believe her story? That's the question.
Let me do a follow-up question to you. This is from Aaliyah Washington. Hey, Jesse, question. What is happening with the key witness, Jane? Any updates? Also, who are the next witnesses that are confirmed to testify next? The problem is the witness list is sealed, so we don't really know exactly who's testifying. We do know Jane's going to testify, and am I wrong in saying that she's arguably the second most important witness because she represents an independent charge of sex trafficking and helps to make up the racketeering case? I mean, what are you anticipating from Jane's testimony?
I think that is I think she quite possibly is the second most important, because the question here is, you know, did this behavior extend beyond Cassie? Or was this just a very bad, very toxic relationship, and there was some violence in it, and Sean Combs had people in his company cover for that, which doesn't really sound like a RICO violation, even if it sounds bad. So the other victims loom large in this trial to establish it was more widespread than that. And the people in his organization, like the idea that someone in his organization was aware of this person being held off the balcony or whatever she was held off of, that's important because it supports the notion that there's a whole RICO enterprise covering for his violent conduct.
I'm going to throw one more question to you. This is from Iron Galaxy Gamer. I think it's from them, or Christina Lester. Whoever it is, we appreciate the support. Do you think that Roger Mills' suit can be used as evidence, as he said he was jumped by Diddy's entourage?
This is the story of the one. As a lineman, it's his job to keep the power on. That's why he chooses Grainger for professional-grade products and next-day delivery, so he can rise to every challenge. Call, click, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Destruction of property, intentional infliction of emotional distress, civil conspiracy, said that Combs' entourage, beat him up, destroyed his camera. Combs' spokesperson at the time says, as we have yet to be served with this complaint, we're unable to comment on specific allegations. However, any claim that Mr. Combs participated in any wrongdoing is totally false. And ultimately, I think it went to a trial, and a jury found in favor of Combs in 2004. I don't think that's making its way here.
No, I think it's too attenuated. It's an earlier time period, and I don't want to diminish it, but it's kind of a simple assault and battery case, which is different from the kind of domestic violence, sex trafficking, and prostitution that really forms the basis of the RICO predicates here.
By the way, that was a question from Christina Lester, but was actually boosted by Iron Galaxy Gamer. So thank you both so much for that. Really appreciate it. Okay, here's a question for you, Barrett. This is from anyone there. Yeah, we're here. We're here for you. We're answering these questions. Anyone there. Is there a limit on how many witnesses are able to receive immunity?
Nope.
No?
No limit. You do have to get approval from Main Justice to give a witness immunity. It's something that usually is done, it's anticipated before a witness testifies, but I had cases as a federal prosecutor where a witness was called and, then they are refusing to testify, and so we had to immunize them that day. So it is something that can be done pretty quickly, but the short answer is absolutely not.
Got a question.
I'll just amend, if I just add one other thing on there.
Of course.
It is a bad look to some extent to have, immunized 30 witnesses and then have the one guy sitting in the defendant's chair, right? It perhaps lets the jury question, is this really just a grudge match against the defendant? You're immunizing everybody else, but going after this one guy. So I think you do have to be somewhat strategic.
No, that just means that they want their testimony over them pleading the fifth.
You can offer, but there may be a strategic limit to it.
It's a good point. It's a good point. You always wonder because a lot of them are asked about the immunity deals that they took. Here's a question for you, Tyler. I'm very confident the answer is no, but I'll allow you to, but for a practical reason. This is from Teresa Worth. Can the prosecution bring Cassie back on the stand?
No, I don't see any reason the court would allow Cassie or Ms. Ventura to come back to the stand. I mean, early on, maybe there's something that comes out later on that justifies it, and they have to get granted that right by the court. But I don't see any reason for Ms. Ventura coming back on the stand. Maybe earlier if there's some issue with her pregnancy and her needing to quickly wrap up her testimony, and then something really just outlandish comes out when the defense brings their case in chief, and for some reason the prosecution thinks it's necessary to call her as a rebuttal witness. Is something the defense brought up, but I don't see really any opportunity for Ms. Ventura being called back to the stand by the prosecution.
I mean, she gave birth in like week 3 or week 2. She gave birth right after she testified. The judge was very keen on making sure she was in and off that stand immediately. They made sure that she wouldn't be able to be brought back. So again, we're waiting for Elizabeth to come out. We'll have to hit a break when that happens. I'm getting word. Do we have to hit a break now? Okay. All right, guests, all-star panel, stay with us. Everybody, just keep your questions coming. If you have any questions for Elizabeth, by the way, shoot them over to me. I'll ask her right now. So we're going to take a quick break. When we come back, Elizabeth Milner, our in-court reporter, is going to be with us. Our eyes and ears. Stay with us.
The eyes and ears. Woohoo! Shout out to Elizabeth. We love her too. Let's go, T-Sippers. Hit the like button. I could be doing something else. Please hit the like button. This is crazy. Oh my God. And I am absolutely ready for him to be found guilty. I want to see him pass out like Suge Knight did when they gave him, set his bond high. Ooh, I was watching that last night. Oh my goodness, this is crazy. Come on to my big win. These people be lying. Got 302 people have voted. What is the verdict? Let me close this poll out. Go ahead and get your poll in. Get your poll vote in. I'm about to end it. Right now it's at 81%. 81%. 306 and 307. 309. Come on. Soon as they come back on, I'm ending the poll. So soon as he pop back on, the poll will be over. I'm surprised. It should be at 100%, but some people are saying that.
At Freddy's, we put a little extra effort.
I guess when this is over, they'll be back. Get your vote in. Come on, get your vote in on the poll. 316 votes. 316 votes. 318. We're waiting for them to pop back on the screen with Elizabeth. Right now, 81% is saying she will flip. Please hit the like button and hit the poll button. Hit vote and hit the like button. When you do one, do the other. Hit the poll and hit the like. 325. Come on. It's just minutes, I guess. We're waiting for Elizabeth. Let's go. $325. Going once. 326. Come on. He's going to pop on, and I'm going to have to end it. 333. 331. Some people are changing their votes. Oh my goodness. Did I vote? Let me see. Let me go get my lunch. He's a monster. I wonder would he be okay if somebody did this to his daughters?
Okay, welcome back, everybody. So as I promised, we're going to have Elizabeth Milner on now, our in-court reporter for all aspects of the Diddy trial.
Closing the poll.
Every single day, including the testimony today of Bryana Vangolan, the cross-examination. And to say, Elizabeth, it's good to see you. She was really heavily cross-examined today. I mean, they were striking at different aspects of her credibility. And, you know, I asked our viewers if they have any questions for you. So as you talk about the highlights of Bryana Vangolan's cross-examination, we have a question from I Do Voodoo 1. Did Bryana seem frazzled by the defense questioning, or did she keep it together?
Yeah, from my perspective, I felt like she kept it together as best as she could. She didn't seem frazzled. She didn't get combative with Nicole Westmoreland during the cross-examination. She really just, for the most part, if she didn't remember something, she said, I don't remember, even if it was something that happened relatively soon as far as the date goes, or when it had happened back in 2016. And it felt like the focus of the cross-examination for the most part, I'm sure you've already been discussing it, Jesse, is just what she recalled and when she recalled it. Specifically, whether or not these injuries occurred and did they occur because of Sean Combs. And I think some of the big stuff that Nicole Westmoreland was really going over during the cross-exam was, for example, showing her photos about her sending a picture which looked like drugs. It had pills, there was crystallized substance in these exhibit photos, and Nicole Westmoreland was like, oh, so things were just business as usual just after this incident occurred. But I think the big kind of gotcha moment in a way was just that the defense brought up Diddy's hotel receipts, and specifically receipts from when he had checked into the Trump Hotel September 24th through September 29th of 2016, because Bryana, while on the stand, or Bana, while she was on the stand, was saying that she believed that this date, or the date of the incident, had occurred in late September, specifically September 25th or September 26th. But as the defense pointed out towards the end of their cross-examination, Sean Combs and even Cassie in some aspects were over here in New York and even in New Jersey. So they brought up the Trump Hotel, it was like a check-in document or a receipt, but the receipt was for Frank Black, and you saw the arrival date from September 24th of 2016 to November 29th of 2016, and then the various charges to that respective room as far as breakfast bills, which went from $344 to $1031. $107.84. So it really felt like they were showing just kind of that final receipt of being like, okay, you said that this happened on this date, but it shows that according to this receipt that Frank Black, aka Puffy, aka Diddy, aka Sean Combs, and even Cassandra Ventura, aka Cassie, were here in this area, here in New York, here over in Jersey doing events. And so they try to kind of bring it back under the redirect, but I kind of feel like and kind of have a sense that the damage might have already been done.
You know, we have a question here from Danny, and this is one of the reasons I love having you on, Elizabeth, is there's only so much we can get from the transcript and the reporting. Danny asks, is it true that during some of Bryana's testimony she was laughing on the stand?
No, not at all. Like
Okay.
not from everything that I've been hearing did I hear any
Okay.
type of laughter. So no, that is not true, unfortunately.
All right,
Or not
well,
unfortunately,
People be
but not
lying.
true.
What about this? This is a question from Candela. How are the jurors coming along? Are they as invested as the first testimonies, or does the repetitive nature of hearing these allegations seemingly getting to them? They must be tired, I would assume.
Yeah. Well, you know, from what I could see of them, I did see one juror kind of in the front row, kind of doing that tennis match look where she was looking at Nicole Westmoreland, and just kind of her direct line of questioning, because she is super direct when she asks the question. So did you say that this happened? True, yes or no? So I saw this juror look at Nicole Westmoreland, then look at Bana for a reaction. I saw, from what I could see over in the gallery, some jurors still jotting down notes, but I also, to that point, wondered, are they kind of tired of the repetitiveness? Because it wasn't until the end of her cross-examination that we really kind of got to the point of where they were trying to go with this. So I was wondering, Nicole Westmoreland said it would take maybe 30 to 45 minutes for her to finish her cross-examination, but I was wondering, did we need the first 15 or 20 minutes of that cross-exam today? But we did, and we got through it, and now Bana is off the witness stand.
I have maybe the most important comment yet. This is from Enlin DK for you, Elizabeth. Elizabeth, what's the skincare? Because damn. The people love you, Elizabeth. Everybody loves you. I know you needed that. There you go. They love you. They love you.
Thank you.
Let me ask you that. So seriously, what is the skincare? No, I'll ask that a separate time. All right, I have to ask you an important question here. That's a good question, but more on point. We've been asked a lot whether or not Sean Combs is participating in his defense. If you see him talking to his attorneys, passing notes, telling them what to ask, are you seeing any of that?
Oh, absolutely. Every single day. And, you know, I have this kind of phrase to myself where it feels like Sean Combs, a.k.a. Diddy, is really kind of quarterbacking his own defense team. It seems like, from what I see him, he's always jotting down notes. He's always paying close attention to, one, the exhibits, but also what the witnesses are saying. So, for example, when Bana was on the stand and Bana was asked under cross-examination whether or not she worked on the Bad Boy reunion tour, I saw Diddy just nodding his head along while Nicole Westmoreland was asking this line of questioning. So I don't know if that was just kind of a candid moment that he was having, but there are times where I see him, one, actively participating in his defense, but also kind of answering the questions that the defense attorney is asking, but to the witness and not himself. And so he is an active participant in his defense. There is no passiveness with him being on that defense table, not one bit.
I got another question for you. This is from ATX Stanley. First of all, there you go. Nice haircut, Jesse. Well, thank you. Nobody asked about my skincare, but thank you. I appreciate it. In the courtroom, Elizabeth, has Diddy's family continued to show up daily, or has his courtroom support varied as time has progressed?
Yeah, that's a great question, and it kind of has varied. You know, there were times, especially at the beginning of the trial, where all of his children, with the exception of baby Love, were inside that courtroom. Then that kind of dwindled a little bit. We haven't seen his daughter since week 1 of trial. As far as his son goes, that's kind of dwindled here and there, too. For example, last week we saw Quincy, Justin, and Christian Combs all inside that courtroom. But as far as today goes, it's a different kind of lineup. Justin Combs is inside that courtroom. His mother, Janice Combs, has been inside that courtroom for most of the duration of trial so far. Haven't seen his sister Keisha since last week, but his kind of one of his biggest supporters, Charlucci, who's also a producer, but one of Diddy's very close friends from childhood, he's been inside that courtroom every single day of trial, and he was also one who had often attended the pre-trial hearings. I think notably kind of a person who I think is pretty interesting that's been showing up to court this week in particular has been Dana Tran, and that is the mother of Diddy's youngest daughter, and that is baby Love, who is I think maybe 2 or 3 years old, but she's been appearing in court today. So as far as everyone together, it's like Diddy's PR, his mom Janice, Dana Tran, Charlucci, and Justin Combs, all there to kind of support Diddy over on the defense side.
Elizabeth, something just happened in court a few minutes ago, and I want your perspective if you've seen this. So Judge Arun Subramanian said to Mark Agnifilo, one of Sean Combs' defense counsel's defense attorneys, Mr. Agnifilo, your client was looking at jurors and nodding vigorously. This can't continue, or I will give a limiting instruction you won't like, or other measures, including barring your client from the courtroom. Do you understand? And Agnifilo responds, yes. Did you see this?
So I will say that once they kind of got into those arguments, I just went kind of to the door. But I'm surprised that the judge
been
kind of
on that,
is
y'all.
noticing this too, because that is one thing that I've been noticing whenever the jury comes into the courtroom, and even when they exit the courtroom, is that Diddy is kind of looking at them. He is looking at them and nodding his head at them. And I think in some respects too, while he's at the defense table and there's a question or an answer that the witness gives, he's shaking his head, he's nodding his head. He is giving kind of visible reactions to things he doesn't like that are being said on the witness stand. And so I'm surprised that the judge kind of brought the hammer down, but I think it was only a matter of time before he was going to say something about this.
I have another question from you, Elizabeth. This is from RSS. Reporters and press have noted strange interactions. Reporters and press have noted strange interactions outside of the trial. Has Elizabeth faced any such strange encounters? And then it gets cut off. I mean, I don't know if anybody's watching Sidebar. Sometimes people yell things, but have you noticed anything like this?
Yeah, they do. Yeah, there's been a lot of just interest, and I think just the volume of people here who are here every single day. There are some interesting encounters that you have. For example, today, one of the people who sits in line overnight was allegedly hit in the head with a hammer by none other than the MTA lady. And so there are some people who just try to either cut the line to get into the courtroom. There have been kind of, I wouldn't say verbal spats, because then that would imply that it was super aggressive, but there's been kind of just a little bit of,
did she go to jail?
Kind of a little bit of aggressiveness as far as just some people who either will cut in line, or some people who just want so much access to the trial that it kind of is upsetting people who have been standing in line for hours on it.
Aside from this is a case that raises a lot of emotions. People have taken certain sides in it. I saw it personally when I was covering Johnny Depp, Amber Heard. It's one of the cases people are really, really invested in. Let me ask you this, Elizabeth. This happened at the beginning of the day. There was a whole back and forth about the press in court, about whether or not the press are following court orders. What was that all about? Can you provide a little bit more illumination on the press being, there was a constitutional issue in terms, what was going on there?
Yeah. It had to do with the exhibits that Jane will be testifying to when she takes the stand next, which is very soon. So they had to do with the Jane exhibits. The press, for the most part, was concerned about not getting these exhibits because, again, for our viewers who don't know, we unfortunately are not going to be able to see the exhibits, such as photographs, such as text message exhibits, in the fashion that we normally do. Why? Because the government says there's so much redaction that needs to be done. So in these text messages, they kind of showed Jane's personal information as far as concerning her family members, and as far as concerning what could be identifiable information that could possibly help release her name out into the public. And they definitely don't want that, especially after what had happened to Mia. And so the government was saying that they can release the photos and the videos that don't depict Jane, and they can easily be released, possibly even the same day. But as far as her text and those photos that do show her face, do show identifiable features, those will take a little bit more, or take a little bit longer of a time to just redact those. And so the media organization kind of legal representative was saying that the government should have redacted these exhibits before she had testified, or before she testifies today. The media organization also saying that the press has a right and needs to see these exhibits, and delayed access is not effective access. And so what the judge ended up ruling is that he did end up siding with the government in this part, and that the media application to see these exhibits, even if it was just certain members of the press to see these exhibits, that application was denied.
I get it. I completely understand. This is one of those cases, there is an extra sensitivity. I mean, you are having witnesses who are even testifying under pseudonyms. It's, even when we show the clip, the B-roll, the courtroom sketches, we're blocking out the face. You're blocking out the face of Mia, so it's a problem. Elizabeth Milner, thank you so much for the great reporting. I know you have to jump back inside. Really appreciate it. I'll see you on Sidebar.
I already knew about Diddy, thanks to Tisa. Shout out to Tisa.
All right. So I'm back here with Barrett Berger, Tyler Bailey, Rich Schoenstein. Tyler, I'll start with you. Combs allegedly signaling to the jury, nodding to the jury. Why is that such a no-no?
You can't do anything as a defendant that could be showing like you're trying to influence the jury, intimidate the jury,
Wasn't a good
draw
move.
empathy from the jury. You know, defense lawyers, we always tell our clients to not be fazed, whether it's good testimony that's coming out or bad testimony that's coming out. We also hear that the judge said that he seems to be nodding his head pretty vigorously at witnesses when they're saying certain things. That could be interpreted different ways. It could be that he's in agreement, or that he's trying to possibly intimidate these witnesses.
Yeah, he's trying to cause a mistrial.
Okay, we'll see about that. Because
put his ass out.
He's in jail, but he still has connections. I mean, he's a known figure. If he is this big, powerful person that the government is making him out to be, you know, him intimidating witnesses could go a long way and influence future testimony that's going to be elicited in this trial.
So we're going to take your questions, your continued questions for the next, 25 minutes or so.
Make him go back to the cell if he don't know how to act.
We also have a poll up. So Rich, listen to this. The poll we had up was, do you think Diddy and his team should sue CNN for the 2016 hotel video leak? 80% say no, 19% say yes. What do you think about that?
Well, I'm with the 80%, but mostly because it would be a fruitless endeavor to try to sue CNN for that. I don't see it.
Because he illegally obtained it.
Well, actually, we have a question that just kind of jumped on that. This is from Illy Gazarian. Can Diddy also sue the hotel for providing the video to CNN, assuming that's what happened, since they told him there's no copies? Can he sue the hotel or the staff?
No.
Well, that's an interesting question, right? So he bribes the hotel to buy the video. Can he then sue the hotel because they kept a copy? I mean, he didn't really pay the hotel for the video, right? He paid a guy at the hotel.
Right.
Split it with two others.
To surreptitiously get the video to him.
To do something he wasn't supposed to be doing.
I guess he could sue the guy, but I don't know. I don't think that's going anywhere.
Well, couldn't you sue the hotel and be like, this is who you employ? How dare you employ people that I couldn't properly bribe?
Right. Why can't I beat up my girlfriend in your hallway in private?
And pay it off the right way. Yeah. I mean, we're making light of it. It's a serious argument, but I hear what you're saying. Okay, Barrett, I want to go to you. This is from Fet Leon. Could it be tactics from the prosecution to bring in anonymous witnesses to emphasize how much of an impact the treatment by Diddy had on them? That's an interesting question, because the jury seems to be they're testifying under a pseudonym, right?
Yeah, it's an interesting question, but the short answer is no, it's not. And I know that because it's a really high bar to be able to get a witness to testify under a pseudonym. So in federal court, and actually in all courts in our country, there is a presumption that the courts will be open, that the public has a right to see what happens in a public trial. So anytime you want to take a measure to sort of limit the public's access to any portion of a trial, there's a pretty high bar for that. So if you want to close the courtroom for certain motions, you have to satisfy certain, legal thresholds. Same with getting a witness to testify under a pseudonym. It's not something that's granted easily, and it's not something that's granted often. So no, I don't think it is something that the prosecutors are doing at a whim. My guess is if they have been able to convince the judge that this is appropriate, then there is evidence that there is some sort of a real threat.
Barrett, I'm going to throw another question to you as well. This is from RSS. Is barring a defendant a measure a judge has ever taken in a federal case? So as we were talking about Judge Subramanian potentially barring Combs from the courtroom, he's signaling to the jury, nodding to the jury. Has it ever been done before?
Yes. That is not something that's done frequently, but it definitely happens. You have defendants that act out in court. You have some defendants that, what seems like what Combs is doing is, potentially, could be interpreted as signaling to a jury. But I've seen defendants just have, tantrums essentially in the courtroom, right? Screaming, yelling, acting disrespectfully, and judges will take them out. It's not usual that they keep them out for the entire trial, but you do have circumstances where, defendant has to be excused to cool down because they get too heated or they start yelling at a witness or things like that. So, no, it doesn't happen every day, but it's not something that is totally unheard of.
Tyler, I'm going to throw two questions to you because they're very similar. This is from Alexander Mateo. Jesse, being that the prosecution's case is not a clean-cut case, do you or anyone feel like this case can end up being a mistrial? And then the question from Stephen Clark is, forgot to ask last week when you discussed mistrials, could the prosecution's case be in danger if we're 7 weeks in and the juror is replaced? Would a new juror cause a mistrial by not having all the details?
They're there.
No, so there's alternate jurors who are there hearing the testimony.
They're already there.
As of right now, they may not vote, but if something happens and the alternate has to step in, you don't have to recreate the whole trial. So first question, no, that's what they have alternate jurors there who are there for. But also, it's been 7 weeks, or it's a 7-week trial, and there's always a risk of a mistrial. But I still don't believe the government's case is terrible. I think they've been putting compelling witnesses on the stand. I think the defense is doing what they can to score points on cross-examination when they have a case to do so. But we're still early enough that the defense has not put up their case in chief. A mistrial is always possible. The defense would love to get a mistrial because this is a expensive prosecution for the government. And if there was a mistrial declared, we don't know if there will be a new trial of Mr. Combs for these cases and charges that he's been accused of.
Barrett, I want to throw another question to you. This is a super chat question from Iron Galaxy Gamer. Another one. Really appreciate your support. Thank you so much. This is for you, Barrett. Do you think it's possible more crucial evidence from Diddy's other homes that we haven't seen is intentionally being held to try a...
Yeah, I'm about to end, y'all. Y'all not hitting the like button.
So
I'm not going to be on here 3 and 4 hours
today. The trajectory of a trial is you want to start strong and finish
Hit the like button.
Prosecutors tend to call their most compelling witnesses or put their strongest evidence forth right in the beginning of the trial and then right at the end, right? That's sort of the primacy of when jurors are able to retain this information. You kind of bury some of the slower stuff in the middle. So is it possible that there is, amazing evidence that going to be put into the case at the end? Absolutely. That happens. It would be surprising to me if there's, huge things that we haven't learned about, only because there have been a lot of motion practice in this case. So much of what has come out in the trial has already been a little bit previewed for the public. But yeah, it's possible.
Rich, I'm going to go to you for this question because I have to tell you, I think one of the reasons people are fascinated by this case, given the fact that we're talking about Sean Combs, but, the question becomes what's going to happen in this trial? Who's going to testify? How much of the allegations from all of the civil complaints going to come in? How big is this case going to get, particularly since we don't know really the witness list? This is from Sally McWatty. Will the Jane Doe who filed a lawsuit about being violated with the IUD and remote testify? By the way, she's talking about Ashley Parham. Wouldn't her testimony go a long way improving RICO, as she says, KK, Christina Quorum, Sean Combs' purported former chief of staff, as she says KK was present. I reckon it would. It goes to a larger question. I mean, whether or not Ashley Parham would testify, whether or not other alleged victims in all these civil suits would testify. What do you think?
Well, I think the government, again, wants other victims because
they don't even know
just
that she's been classified as officially a co-conspirator yet.
Domestic dispute. You want to show a broader pattern of violence. So the government wanted to bring in multiple victims. Now, I thought they were bringing in 3 victims. I don't know if they can add on more at this point. And they have to...
Well, wait a second. They can call alleged victims like Jane Doe and Cassie, but